Hello families, welcome to our 5th video in our series on family discipleship as we learn together how to best and better be the primary disciple makers in our own families as the church comes alongside and partners with all of you and your families during this season and into the future. This week for our topic, we're going to talk about a 4-letter word that is the bane of many families' existence. I'm going to tell you what that is in a second, but maybe you can already guess where I am, and maybe you hear something that you're going to hear for the rest of this video. But you're right. I am up in the clock tower at Hampton Falls First Baptist Church, and that ticking noise you're hearing is the clock and the chimes that'll go off for our clock tower here at the church. And that's right, the 4-letter word we're going to talk about that is so difficult in our time today is the word time. As the first word of the first sentence of this chapter, chapter 4 on time says, calendars and clocks have become gods to many in our culture. And we seemingly run out of time. There's so many things going on. And so this chapter and this encouragement through this video today is to how do we make the best use of our time? And how do we use rhythm and intentionality to make family discipleship times happen consistently for our family, for our unique family, in whatever way is best for us. So let me just give you a quote to start off with, and then just a couple of things, and then I'm going to let you run with it this week as you find the best way to use time for your own family. This quote comes from Howard Hendricks. If parents are looking for a convenient time to schedule family worship, they may as well forget about the idea. Christianity is not a matter of convenience, it involves cost. So if you're already saying to yourself, I don't have any time, our family doesn't have any time, we're too busy to do one more thing like family discipleship or family worship or family devotions, whatever you want to call it. Hendricks is a good reminder here. He says, if you're looking for a convenient time, you'll probably never find it. It will require a cost. It will require giving up something else. So the authors say family discipleship time is this: creating intentional time built into the rhythm of the family's life for the purpose of thinking about, talking about, and living out the gospel as a family. And so again, there's a lot of things in this chapter that'd be helpful, I think, as you read it along, and maybe you'll find some tidbits from the Chandler and the Griffin home that maybe were helpful or encouraging, or maybe something that doesn't work at all for your family. But the two big things they emphasize is that you need rhythm and you need intentionality. So as you listen to this clock going behind me, what do you notice? You hear that it's a rhythm. It's the same little rhythm. It goes back and forth, back and forth. Just as time moves by seconds and minutes, and hours, and weeks, so we as families need to find a rhythm that works for us spiritually as we pour into our kids and into our lives the love of Christ through the Bible, which is emphasized throughout this. It talks about how Jesus made intentional times to do discipleship, whether it's the Sermon on the Mount or going to the Mount of Olives. He set aside specific and intentional time. And so intentionality is also required. There was a little while where I was the person that was winding this clock. And I had to find a rhythm of how this would work. So I would come up here once a week and just do it all at once. A weekly rhythm of winding the clock 240 times to get the chimes going, and then several more times to get the clock going. And you have to do it once a week or else it would stop. And so it required a rhythm and it required an intentionality. So there was a time where I was coming up here every Monday and doing that myself. And there were weeks where I forgot or where I got behind. And guess what? The whole town noticed because the chimes didn't go off or the clock was showing the incorrect time, and it made a big difference. Same for us spiritually. Family discipleship requires rhythm and intentionality. So as you go home today, back into your homes and into your families, it gives some really helpful practical feedback for your family. So it gives ideas for daily discipleship times. It gives ideas for weekly discipleship times, some really creative things. And it gives ideas for monthly discipleship times as a family. So I leave it to you to discern what's the best for your family, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, or maybe a mixture of all of those. But what I really love is how they emphasize, try to think of fun ways for you to do this. What are things that your family loves to do and incorporate those things into your family discipleship time. So the Chandlers, they mentioned how they would build a giant fort in their living room and emphasize that God is a strong tower through just the creativity of building a giant fort in their home. It's fun, it's creative, it's active, and it also emphasizes a deep point from Scripture that God is our fortress and our strong tower. So it ends with some questions to think through for you and your spouse, and then it gives you this family discipleship plan that you can fill out. So it gives an example there and then a blank page on the next one of helping you rhythm your week, rhythm your life, and find ways to pour into your family specifically. So one thing I'm going to encourage, just as a final point here, it's been really encouraging, especially with Sunday school starting last week, to see how the family flexible worship space has kind of grown into something pretty rich, especially during that first service. There were a lot of families there last week. Second service, we had a number of families as well. But there's something about a weekly rhythm of gathering together in worship that is powerful, and you can use that as a springboard for your family discipleship time. So as you're all together in that chapel space, some of you I know are still downstairs, and that's wonderful too. There's pros and cons to both. But as you gather together and as you worship together and listen to the sermon and read Scripture and hear the children's story and sing songs, use that as a springboard for conversations and creative discipleship times with your family during the rest of the week. So as we see each other this Sunday, may we encourage each other with that and encourage one another all the more as we live life together and pursue Christ as a church. So have a wonderful week. God bless you. See you next week.